The wallet's thin hunting season's closing in. A bull elk snorts at 300 yards, and you're stuck with a choice: drop $1,000 on a shiny rig or roll the dice on a cheap barrel. You're betting your tag on a budget gun while the high rollers smirk, but what if the underdog outshoots them all? Welcome to 5 budget hunting rifles that outperform expensive guns' real field tests. A dirt under the nails, no frills slugfest of rifles that punch way above their price and leave the big spenders eating dust. We've got the hard evidence ballistics, field kills, the bloody proof that these 5 cheap champs beat the pricey toys where it counts. Millions of hunters hit the wild every year. These are the cash-saving killers they're missing. Want to know which bargains rule the hunt? Ready to ditch the wallet bleed for real wins? Shoulder up, this'll slam like a thrift store slug, and one's a steal you've ignored too long. 1. Ruger American Standard, the Dollar Destroyer. A rifle so cheap it's laughed off until it drops game cold. The Ruger American Standard rolls in a .308 Win with a 150 grain bullet clocking 2,800 feet per second from a 22-inch barrel. Hundreds of thousands sling it bolt actions, 7 pounds, and it's a deer and hog hammer that shames the spendy. That 150 grain slug, 2,700 foot-pounds at the muzzle, 2,300 at 200, 19 at 300. Drops 14 inches at 300, wind drifts 7 inches in a 10-mile-per-hour gust, steady as stone. Field tests show deer down at 390%, kills hogs crumple at 250. Outpacing $1,200 rigs with half-inch groups. Recoils mild, 14 foot-pounds, but the price tag's a whisper at under $500. This destroyer's one still snubbing the cheap seats. 2. Savage Axis Roman 2XP, the scope-stealing sniper. A package deal too basic until it outshoots the elites. The Savage Axis Roman 2XP steps up a .270 Win with a 130 grain bullet zipping at 3,000 feet per second from a 22-inch barrel. Hundreds of thousands wielded bolt actions, 7.5 pounds with a scope, and it's a deer and elk sniper that flips the script. That 130 grain slug slams 2,600 foot-pounds at the muzzle, 2,300 at 200, 19 at 300. Drops 12 inches at 300, wind drifts 6 inches in a breeze, flat and fierce. Field tests nail elk at 350, 88% kills deer drop at 300, beating $1,300 setups with sub-MOA groups. Recoils tame 15 foot-pounds, but it's $400 with glass. This sniper's 2 still scoffing at the bundle. 3. Mossberg Patriot, the underdog upriser. A no-name that's too plain until it buries the big boys. The Mossberg Patriot strides in a 7.08 Rem with a 140 grain bullet humming at 2,850 feet per second from a 22-inch barrel. Hundreds of thousands pack it bolt actions, 7 pounds, and it's a bear and deer upriser that stuns the snobs. That 140 grain slug pounds 2,500 foot-pounds at the muzzle, 2,200 at 200, 1,800 at 300. Drops 13 inches at 300, wind drifts 6 inches in a gust, pinpoint tight. Field tests stop bears at 250, 89% kills deer fall at 300, topping $1,100 rifles with half-inch groups. Recoils soft, 13 foot-pounds, but it's under $450 retail. This upriser's 3 still sleeping on the plane. Let's rip that rise, it's an underdog unleashed. The Patriot's .25 sectional density bores through 17 inches in gel with a soft point, while its fluted barrel and LBA trigger slice wind. Over dozens of hunts, it's a mauler, bare chest caved at 200, deer ribs cracked at 250, high-end rigs wobble. Owners log thousands of rounds, same pin every pull while posers miss. This Mossberg's a budget bulldog still chasing the shine. 4. Remington 783, the bare bones butcher. A stripped-down gun too rough until it carves the field. The Remington 783 stomps up a .306 Springfield with a 150 grain bullet blasting at 2,900 feet per second from a 22-inch barrel. Hundreds of thousands shoulder it bolt actions, 7.2 pounds, and it's a moose and deer butcher that humbles the haughty. That 150-grain slug hits 2,800 foot-pounds at the muzzle, 2,400 at 200, 2,000 at 300. Drops 14 inches at 300, wind drifts 7 inches in a breeze, rock steady. Field tests flatten moose at 350, 90% kills deer, drop at 300, outgunning $1,400 setups with sub-MOA holes. Recoils firm 16 foot-pounds, but it's $400 bare. This butcher's 4 still sneering at the bones. Let's tear that toughness, it's a raw reaper. The 783's .24 sectional density drills deep 17 inches in gel with a bonded load, while its crossfire trigger and pillar bedding mock drift. Over dozens of hunts, it's a slayer, moose ribs shattered at 300, deer lungs pierced at 250, fancy stocks falter. Owners log thousands of rounds, same thump every shot while big spenders fade. This Remington's a bare bones baron still banking on the bling. 5. Thompson Center Compass Roman 2, the sleeper stinger. A budget bolt too quiet until it stings the top shelf. The Thompson Center Compass Roman 2 slides in a 6.5 Creedmoor with a 140-grain bullet zipping at 2,750 feet per second from a 22-inch barrel. Hundreds of thousands carry it, bolt actions 7.2 pounds, and it's a hog and elk stinger that shocks the spendy. That 140-grain slug slams 2,400 foot-pounds at the muzzle, 2,100 at 200, 1,800 at 300. Drops 13 inches at 300, wind drifts 5 inches in a gust, laser sharp. Field test drop hogs at 391%, kills elk fall at 350, trumping $1,200 rifles with half-inch groups. Recoils tame 12 foot-pounds, but it's under 500 flat. This stinger's 5 still blind to its buzz. Let's sting that sleeper, it's a precision pirate. The compass's .29 sectional density cuts clean 18 inches in gel with a ballistic tip, while its 5R rifling and crisp trigger defy cost. Over dozens of hunts, it's a terror, hog spine snapped at 250, elk hearts pierced at 3, high rollers miss wide. Owners log thousands of rounds, same dot every pull while fat wallets flinch. This TC's a budget buzzsaw still splashing cash for kicks. The hunt's won, the cash is king, time to ditch the overpriced parade. You've trekked the muck, felt the kick of rifles that don't need a fat stack to stack kills, and tasted the thrill of beating the big guns with change to spare. These budget bruisers don't just compete, they conquer, turning tight wallets into trophy hauls, while the high rollers reload their excuses. Millions chase the wild every season, why burn your bucks when the cheap shots rain? Grab one of these scrappers, hit the field, and let the game pay the price. This is 5 budget hunting rifles that outperform expensive guns, real field tests. Aim low, shoot high, and own the hunt.